News website. Now on BBC One, it's time for the news where you are. Bye-bye.
Fiona, thank you. Coming up tonight on BBC London. Highlighting London's housing crisis, this school where most pupils are homeless and parents struggle to feed their families.
We see increasing numbers of children who may be withdrawn because actually there are horrible things going on in the hostel that they're living in, and so it's an increasing impact, negative impact on their mental health.
We'll also hear from Londoners struggling to keep up with rising rents. Also tonight, campaigners' concern over a viral video appearing to show a woman being harassed at a North London train station. We speak to the acclaimed surgeon who made London his home and helped transform transplant treatment.
And I'm surrounded by hundreds of envelopes, which are actually pieces of artwork, all on sale for a very special cause.
Good evening to you, I'm Alpa Patel. Upsetting and appalling is how one head teacher in the capital has described growing levels of poverty and deprivation among pupils at her school. The majority of the 300 students at Harassed Primary Academy in Peckham are homeless, and all of them receive free school uniform and meals. The school is even providing food parcels to parents. The government says it's investing £2 billion to tackle homelessness across the country. Here's Harry Lowe.
It was really shocking, actually, that this is London, this is a capital city, and we've got that level of poverty and deprivation.
Maria's head teacher at Harassed Primary Academy, Peckham Park. The school pays for meals, trips and uniforms to help struggling parents.
The majority of our families would describe that they're living in non-secure tenancies, which means that they've got no idea when they're going to be moved from that flat or that house or that room, which is hugely stressful for them. And then we've also got a large number of families who are going between accommodations.
When you think of a school, you don't necessarily think of teachers as housing officers. Staff here say that the majority of its 300 pupils are now homeless, with many of them living in temporary or crowded accommodation. London's housing crisis, they say, is making it harder for children to learn.
We see increasing numbers of children who might be really tired by the afternoon because they've been up very early, or who may be withdrawn because actually there are horrible things going on in the hostel that they're living in, and so it's an increasing impact, negative impact on their mental health.
Kelly's one of those parents living in temporary housing with her daughter.
It's terrible, absolutely terrible. Having basically to live out of a bag because you don't know when you're going to have to move, when you're going to have to go somewhere else, uproot your children from school. Very emotional, stressful. I just want somewhere that I can call home for me and my child.
She says the staff have been a huge help.
They've played a very big part. They've helped me come a long way in the 10 months with my mental health. They've helped me really a lot with my housing and just mine and my daughter's well-being, basically.
Chantel is the Special Educational Needs Coordinator and says it can be hard to switch off.
The most difficult aspect of my job is probably the emotional kind of baggage that I'm carrying, because I see a lot of families and I see the turmoil that they're going through, and it does affect me. I take it home. You know, I try to leave it at work, but I'm only human.
Southwark Council blamed the housing crisis on the government's welfare reforms and what it called astronomical rents in the private sector. The Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities told us everyone has a right to a safe and decent place to call home. That's why we have set out an ambitious long-term housing plan to build the homes that Britain needs. We're spending £2 billion over 3 years to tackle homelessness and get families into permanent accommodation. Harry Lowe, BBC London.
Well, one of the leading triggers for homelessness in London are so-called no-fault evictions. They're due to be banned as part of the Renters Reform Bill, which was debated by government today. New figures from City Hall show an average of 290 London renters each week have faced no-fault evictions since the government promised to end them in 2019. If the law is delayed a further 6 months, almost 15,000 more Londoners could be put at risk. London accounts for a third of no-fault evictions in England, up to 70% on last year. Well, earlier, hundreds of people marched outside Downing Street in protest at the delays. Among them are Londoners Sarah and Jailson.
The fact is, putting up rents is making people homeless, and not looking after houses is making people sick. Having a secure and decent home can provide a healthy life for a person and their family. And that's why we're here today, really, to get MPs to realise that and make sure that the rules are changed.
Well, for the last 7 years, I've been just going from a rogue landlord to rogue landlord, houses with disrepair and unsolved problems. And I just want a permanent home that I can call mine, safe and secure, without any damages and disrepairs and rogue landlords. That's all.
Well, joining me now is Councillor Darren Rodwell, Executive Cabinet Member for Housing for London Councils. Thank you for being with us. A school where the majority of students are homeless and 2 young people there who cannot afford their rents. What does this tell us about the housing crisis here in London?
Well, it's reminding us what we've been saying as London Councils for quite a while now, that we are in the epicentre of the biggest housing crisis probably since pre-war. And that's a real issue that the government needs to work with London's councils to deliver on. So at this moment in time, we have a borough's worth of homelessness in London today. 1 in 23 children, so that's a child in every classroom in London, is now technically homeless. 1 in 50 Londoners are homeless. So we need to do something, and we can do something about it. We need to immediately get the local housing allowance levels at the right level so local authorities can use the local housing allowance to actually house more Londoners. We also need to build a lot more, and councils can do that, are willing to do that, and that's working with government. So yes, there is funds in there, but it isn't enough, and we need to do a lot more. There's 143,000 homes that could be built today with the right sort of funding.
Well, you've mentioned not enough affordable housing is being built. The government says London is missing its targets on building affordable homes by over 10,000. The head of one of London's biggest housing associations says the capital is now facing the worst situation she has ever seen. What are the reasons? Why aren't we building enough affordable housing?
So again, it's partly the marketplace right now, because again, local authorities haven't really built for decades, and we've come back into that space, but it's also the housing cost generally. At the moment, we reckon that the housing bill, just on renting for what we're paying, is costing us about £60 million a week as local authorities. Now, we could be putting that money into new homes, and we want to be doing that, but we do need the support from national government. And to say that we're not trying to hit our targets is unfortunate, because what we actually want is a relationship that works for us.
The government says, of course, that it's putting £1 billion towards affordable housing.
And it is, but it's also paying something like £28 billion to private rented landlords. PRS has reduced in London by over 40% since COVID. So landlords are now coming out of the marketplace, and we can only charter on behalf of residents just 2% of London's housing.
I just want to ask you a final question, whilst you're here. A story online today surrounding your bid to become a local MP. Some criticism of a campaign banner which appears to have been secured around gravestones at Barking Abbey. Some say that was disrespectful. What's your response to that?
So first of all, thank you for asking me about it, actually. Of course I wasn't being disrespectful. What happened was someone did take a photograph and alluded to the fact that we was doing this. We wasn't. What we actually did was we tried to put a banner up. So if you know the Abbey ruins, you'll know how beautiful a place it is, but you can't stick anything into the ground, you can't stick anything on the wall. And whilst we had to go and get some more straps, unfortunately, someone took a photo and said, oh, look, they're hanging the banner from gravestones. We haven't done that. And if you actually look at my campaign photo, you'll see that it's along the wall line to the tree and to the rest.
Councillor Darren Rodwell, thank you very much for that, and thank you for being with us. A video has emerged on social media appearing to show a woman being harassed by a man at an overground station in North London. The incident at Bruce Grove is being investigated by British Transport Police and has once again reignited the debate about women's safety on public transport. Megan Owen reports.
This video appears to show a man crossing live train tracks at Bruce Grove station before beginning to harass a woman filming on the platform.
What is wrong with you? I'll follow you though. If you act up, I'll follow you.
The woman calls out for help.
Can you help me, please?
It's been viewed by millions on social media since the weekend.
British Transport Police say that they're aware of a video on social media and they're investigating a report of sexual harassment at this overground station, believed to have happened at around 10 p.m. on Friday. They're urging anyone with information to contact them.
It's heartbreaking, but unfortunately not surprising in any way.
Women's rights activist Zan says she was verbally assaulted on the tube last year.
I experienced a torrent of verbal abuse. It was homophobic and misogynistic attack, and I had that happen to me on the Northern Line when I was travelling home at night. I was on a very busy carriage and absolutely no one got up to help or intervene. Men simply don't take no for an answer. It's as simple as that.
Zan wrote an open letter calling for police and City Hall to take action.
Do you feel that your calls for change were answered?
No, not in the slightest. My calls for change were quite simple things like more police presence on the tube at night, panic buttons on buses, on trains, on platforms. What you can see from this video is, where is the presence of the police? Where is the platform staff? Where is anybody to help?
British Transport Police say they're working to stamp out this kind of behaviour with enhanced patrols of officers across stations. Earlier this year, Transport for London launched a campaign urging Londoners to safely intervene if they witness sexual harassment.
You just jump across the tracks to come and chat to me.
But the reaction to this video, a reminder that it's not an isolated incident. Megan Owen, BBC London.
You're watching BBC London, still to come tonight. As part of this week's 32 in the City, we meet the London veteran making poppies in Richmond. The Met Police Commissioner has said the law needs to be strengthened after a meeting with the Home Secretary to discuss his force's response to incidents involving pro-Palestinian protesters. Scotland Yard said it had identified no offences in a video of a man chanting jihad during a rally close to the main march at the weekend. Well, our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup is here. Sonia, what were the Home Secretary's concerns?
So today's meeting was already due to take place, but it became clear that the Suella Braverman did have concerns about this chanting that took place at a rally organised by the group Hizb ut-Tahrir. Now, they're a group that are banned in many countries, but not here in the UK. And this was at a rally that was separate from the main march that was being staged at the weekend. Now, the word jihad means effort or struggle in Arabic, and the Met says it has different meanings, that it didn't identify any offence being committed, but the man concerned was spoken to by officers because it recognised that that word can be associated with terrorism by members of the public. But the Home Office Minister, Robert Jenrick, said that he believed the chanting amounted to inciting terrorist violence.
And Sonia, what happened at the meeting?
Well, the Commissioner said that it was a constructive meeting. He said that they talked about the huge rise in hate crime, particularly anti-Semitism, and that 32 arrests have been made. But he said police enforce the law, and he believes that law needs to be strengthened.
The conversation finished really around the line of the law, and it's our job to enforce to that line. It's Parliament's job to draw that line. And the thought that maybe events of the moment are illustrating maybe some of the lines aren't quite in the right place, have been reports from Counter-Extremism Commission and the Law Commission, and more recently from Sir John Saunders with the Manchester Inquiry Inquest, talking about the law needed to change to be stronger at dealing with extremism.
Well, the Prime Minister told MPs today that he believes that the police do have sufficient existing powers to deal with this kind of thing, that they will seek to clarify that guidance for officers. Now, there's been a separate development tonight involving some footage which appears to show a tube driver leading chants of Free Palestine over a tannoy system on a tube train on Saturday. Now, tonight we've heard from transport bosses that driver has been suspended while an investigation takes place.
Sonia Jessup, thank you very much. 40 years ago, my next guest was performing the first double heart-lung transplant in UK history at London's Harefield Hospital. In a career spanning 6 decades, Professor Sir Magdi Yacoub made the capital his home, pushing surgical boundaries and expanding medical research. Now a new biography charts his life, from growing up in Egypt to meeting Princess Diana. I spoke to him a little earlier. Can I start by asking you why you were so interested in the heart?
You can almost look at the heart and see how beautiful it is. It has a personality of its own. It communicates with the brain backwards and forwards all the time. So the heart is just a fascinating organ for a variety of reasons.
You grew up in Egypt, but moved to London. Why did you do that, and why did you stay?
My dad was a doctor. Unfortunately, his younger sister died during childbirth from rheumatic heart disease, a narrow heart valve. And he fell to pieces, had a nervous breakdown. And then he said, you know something? This disease is currently being treated in different parts of the world by something called open heart surgery, to which I declared, I was like 5 years old, take or 1 or 2 years. I said, I'm going to be a heart surgeon.
You pointed to some of these pictures. Do you
the
recognize?
picture right at the back there is when I was a resident at Qasr Al-Aini Hospital, the university hospital in Cairo.
You've had such a long career. What's been your most proudest moment in your career?
The most important thing in my career was the relationship between doctors and patients. That's a very important, what I call sacred relationship. And that is why I have been totally dedicated to the National Health Service, because this sacred relationship is the best in the world.
Just finally, what's your time in London? What has that meant to you? What do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy, what I want to see is that I've learned a whole lot of things during my career, and I want to pass all this knowledge to the young people, whom I see a whole lot of people in London, in Egypt, in Africa, and what I want to leave behind in London and everywhere else is a legacy where feeling that pain in the community, trying to do something about it, and continuing the process of discovery.
An amazing message and an inspirational man. Professor Sir Magdi Yacoub talking to me earlier. Next to the 32, our series shining a light on the people and stories from London's 32 boroughs and the city. This evening, we're in Richmond upon Thames, home to the Poppy Factory, where volunteers have been busy making remembrance poppies. One of them is RAF veteran Steve Pleasance, who's been giving his time for free over the past 8 years. He told us what the factory means to him.
Hi, my name's Steve Pleasance. I've worked at the Poppy Factory for around 8 years now. I was in the RAF for 6 years. My role was a steward, so I was working in officers and sergeants' messes. I'm gay, and it was very hard to hide your time, because at that point the ban was still there, so you would be thrown out, sometimes worse, put into prison and things like that. It was tough. It was very tough. I mean, it was probably tougher then than it was now. I was allowed to leave normally because I was already leaving anyway, but if I hadn't been leaving, they would have thrown me out. When I came out, I was dodging between jobs. I didn't really. I thought, well, if I could have rejoined, I would have rejoined at that time, and I couldn't. But it really, because it's so many. You're living a secret. You're living a lie almost, and that plays a lot on your mind. I had a major breakdown in 2013, and wasn't working. And then I contacted the property factory and asked if they were looking for people to volunteer. I knew I needed something to do, and I knew it looked like a supportive place. They took me on as a tour assistant. It gave me a purpose in my life every day. So it was a reason to get out of bed. As I say, not all the days are good. Not all the days, you can't always do it because your mental health is struggling. But this is what's so lovely about this place, that they actually embrace that. It's not a problem to say you're not feeling well. We keep doing that today. We're still giving people, veterans with disabilities, getting them back into work they want to do, and that happens all around the country as well as in the London area as well. But also you're doing something meaningful for people. These reads that we make, around 150,000 a year, go around the world.
Good on, Steve. And if there's a person where you live that we should be featuring as part of our 32 and the City series, do get in touch. You can email us at hellobbc.london@bbc.co.uk, the address on your screen there. Now, these images behind me are all original pieces of art, painted on envelopes by a host of artists and celebrities. They've gone on display at a London gallery to raise money for the National Brain Appeal. One man with a special connection to the charity is Christopher Samuels. He's an artist living with a neurological condition. Lee Milner has been finding out more.
Yes, I'm surrounded by 700 envelopes for a Letter in Mind exhibition. Christopher's is here somewhere, but we're not actually allowed to know which one it is because they want you to buy a piece that catches your eye rather than buy a piece just for the artist's name. And look, we have some pretty big names in this exhibition. Each piece is £85 and all the proceeds will go to a cause which means a lot to Christopher.
So I'm Christopher Samuel. I'm an artist that makes work about disability and identity politics, mainly centered around my own lived experience. I have a type of Charcot-Marie tooth, which is a neurological neuropathy, kind of like a muscle wasting condition. I think for a long time I was quite angry, I was in pain from the beginning. Professor Riley and Karen Ball, they actually saw me as a person. And I think the National Hospital became my second home. I found a new passion. I became obsessed with art. I've have my own studio. I've shown work around the world. I can't tell you about the piece I made for this year's A Letter in Mind, but it's directly inspired by the people that have supported me, who've helped to change my perspective in life and have something to live for.
Yes, well, I'm with Christopher, Professor Mary Riley and clinical nurse Karen Ball, who you say turned your life around. How does it feel being reunited with them at this exhibition?
Well, they feel like family, so really nice to see them.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
And Professor Mary Riley, this is all to raise money for the hospital. How important is it that we get that money?
it's extremely important. So the hospital is the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery, and Christopher has been a patient there for many years. And it is phenomenal to see his expertise and his talent coming through. So funding for the hospital allows us to innovate projects that helps us do research to not only treat and cure diseases, but also to help patients like Christopher develop their talents to live with their disease, but still have a good quality of life.
Well, Eva Tate is over here. You are actually from the National Brain Appeal, raising money for this hospital. We don't just have Christopher's artwork here today, though, do we? We have quite big names.
Oh, this is the 10th year that we've run A Letter in Mind, so this is our anniversary exhibition. We've got Sir Grayson Perry, we've got Dame Zandra Rhodes, we've got Ishbel and Morag Myerscough and Chantal Joffe. We have got a really fantastic group of artists this year. So I'd recommend everybody have a look online at aletterinmind.org. All the artworks are £85 and buying opens at 11 o'clock on Wednesday.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for having me. And as you heard there, A Letter in Mind exhibition is running until the 28th. You'll be able to buy any of these paintings up until Wednesday at Gallery Different.
Great cause there, Lee Milner reporting. Right, let's take a look at the weather. Here's Kat.
Hello there, good evening to you. Well, it will stay unsettled through the rest of this week. Showers, longer spells of rain at times, but also some sunshine. And many of us did see some sunshine this morning. It did appear quite hazy though. And through the afternoon for all areas, it did cloud over and we've had quite a bit of rain already to the south of us. That rain now shifting northwards, becoming more widespread through this evening. But tomorrow, a brighter day, sunny spells accompanied by a scattering of showers. So it's this feature here, bringing that widespread rain this evening. That is going to clear. Just behind, there'll be a few showers approaching by the end of the night. Sunny spells and showers on Tuesday, but further outbreaks of rain overnight on Tuesday into Wednesday morning. Now here's your picture through tonight. Some showery rain, some heavy bursts in there that will eventually shift north and eastwards. Bit of a respite into the night, but by the end of the night, further showers will push in from the southwest. Temperatures down to around 9 degrees. So not the coldest of starts to Tuesday morning, but we will wake up to cloudy skies, showery rain clearing, but by the afternoon, it will brighten up quite nicely with decent spells of autumn sunshine. It's not going to be completely dry tomorrow, I'm afraid. You can see a few showers just dotted around here and there. Temperatures around 15 in Celsius. Then through tomorrow night, it will start off on a largely dry note with some clear spells, but through the course of the night, a few showers merging into longer spells of rain and similar temperatures tomorrow night. We're looking at lows of around 9 degrees. So quite a miserable start to our Wednesday morning. There'll be some low cloud, mist and murk first thing, and it'll be quite wet, soggy underfoot, but that rain is going to be quite quick to clear through the morning. Through the rest of the day, it does look to be mostly dry. It will brighten up quite nicely, but an area of low pressure will push further outbreaks of rain overnight on Wednesday into Thursday. Sunny spells and showers on Thursday and Friday.
Lots of rain on the way then, Kat. Thank you very much. That's it from me. We'll be here with our late news at 10:30 tonight. And you can always keep up to date with the latest news on the BBC News website. But for now, from all of us here, have a good evening.
Then she goes down.